Now, as we get started, I want to just take a second to focus on this thought. Pretty much everybody, literally everybody, has some sort of electronic that can connect to the internet, whether it's a tablet, computer, or phone. Like, you can't go anywhere without seeing somebody on their phone. The first iPhone was released almost 20 years ago, and at the time it was an innovation in technology, but nowadays it's just an extension of your body. Almost 6 billion people have phones. And nowadays, it's just weird if you don't have a glass rectangle. I don't know. I just think it's a very interesting thought, especially when you take into consideration that it at this point has become more than just an extension of the body, and it's basically become like a second mind. I'm sure you've seen those TikToks of like people picking up their partner's phone or whatever, and instead of seeing like Tyrone or something, they just see a whole lot of disappointment. But like, how can you blame them? With the ease of access, how can you blame them of relying on their phone instead of their own memory? Like, sure, it's a useful tool, but it becomes a problem when we can't rely on ourselves to spell or remember the fun fact that we saw on Reels. Like, and as time goes on, the issue is just only getting worse. I saw a video recently where the commentator was comparing TikTok to other forms of media and how they affected people as they were presented to us. And it's affecting us similar to how TV was, but it's on a whole different level. With TV, at least you had the option to decide what you wanted to watch, but nowadays with the algorithms and everything, it's just being decided for you, and therefore it's making us a lot more passive in the way we consume media. This just causes us to think less and less, and the more this happens, the more the technology is being used as a crutch instead of a tool assisting us in our capabilities. Now, I'm sure you've heard this somewhere, or some boomers telling you how you can't rely on ChatGPT to do whatever. Like, this isn't new, but I want to really focus on how this goes deeper and how the fact that we're relying on it as like a second brain, quote unquote, is just the tip of the iceberg. Separate from our reliance on it, I believe that it's creating a perpetuating cycle, causing us to see our physical world through a cybernetic lens. TV and other forms of media have always been set up to keep us tuned in and also to cater towards the audience they're made for. But these dopamine farms packaged in short form videos are just making our distortion of reality a lot worse. With us being able to think less and the constant overflow of information, we're not given the time to just sit with it and assess it and understand it to be able to come to our own conclusions. This can cause real issues with how we reflect and learn as people, and it can lead us to lose touch with how we understand ourselves. You may have heard of like the term ghost hours, which is just time lost, where we find ourselves unable to remember what even happened in those countless hours we spent on the internet. This is exactly what I'm saying. Like, we aren't taking the time to just go out and have experiences or interact with people or do whatever, and it's causing us just get lost in the sauce, and we can't even assess who we are as people. And I'm not going to act like I'm any better than anybody who's watching this, because I find myself compulsively doom scrolling too. Like, before I even realize it, I'm scrolling on TikTok or Instagram just to waste the time away. But where this gets even wilder when you think about it is that if you look at what's happening on the internet or in the world, with the difficulty of being able to form our own thoughts and opinions, we're just starting to pull from the internet and using those identities as our own. In the book, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, he covers how we can get swept up in the crowd. We might think that we may be more pronounced as individuals, but we end up becoming smaller since we're no longer on our own. And there's no groups larger than those that are found on the internet. And I could see the argument to this being that what we see on the internet is a representation of what's going on in the world, but I think the paradigm starts to shift when we have so many people who don't have anything foundational in their identity. Like, they're just pulling from whatever TikTok trends they see or whatever video that their favorite creator is making. Like, the evidence in this can be seen in political views, how men and women see themselves and each other, how you got people looks maxing, like, I forget his name, but the dude hitting himself with a hammer. Like, come on, dude. Which, whatever, like, what I'm getting at is that you have so many people who see these opinions or thoughts or whatever on the internet, and then they start to bring that into their life and see the world around them and other people through those lenses. Which, with the analogy of, the phone working as a second brain, it's like the internet is working as a second soul for ourselves. Like, it's completely encompassing who we are. So I guess our moms were right. It's that damn phone, bro. Nah, but seriously, like, what do we do about this? I don't think that it's something that's gonna happen overnight. But realistically, we just gotta put that thing down and go touch some grass. And not in like an impractical sense where you can never be on your phone, but I think we all have, as a collective, have to start understanding that this is stemming from us, whether we believe it or not. Like, an example of what I see online too is everyone talking about like the third space thing, where like we don't have that as a generation. But when are we gonna come to realize that we can take it upon ourselves to create one versus just complaining that there isn't one? I mean, it might not be perfect at the start, but the more we start to take these things upon ourselves, we'll be able to actually change what's considered socially acceptable and create more of an extroversion in our culture, allowing us to like take the idea of what we find in community online and actually find that in our local towns, cities, whatever. If we were to start working towards this, then this would create the reversal of what we're seeing, where people are basing their opinions on real life experience and interaction versus whatever mansplaining or feminist video that they see. And again, I understand the argument to this of like, this is just a reflection of what is happening in the world, but the problem I'm getting at is like, if we're constantly seeing these things and it's influencing how we perceive the physical world around us, then it's going to cause us to use confirmation bias and things like that to propel this into reality. And once we have like established third spaces or physical local communities that we can interact with, then that can work towards the original fact of what I brought up of it working as like our second brain. Because whether your friend group or community or whatever is encouraging sports or education or in-depth political conversation or anything, like, it's going to start to become less on depending on technology to fulfill our dopamine and gratification and whatever meme we saw, and it's going to start to actually allow us to incorporate our daily lives into what makes us human, allowing us to rely less on technology and more on ourselves. If you guys have any other like comments or ideas, I'd love to hear them. Just drop a comment below and we could talk about it. If you like today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, the usual stuff. I want to thank you for your time. It is greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.